What's going on, mentorship? Welcome to our sales course, and what we're going to do throughout this entire video is teach you the steps you need to take in order to make a good sale. And it could be a sale for one-on-one coaching, could be for group coaching, could be for a product. We have our main focus for this course, which is going to be really focused on one-on-one coaching, because we really think that's where the major benefit lies, especially at the beginning of your online coaching career. But all of this holds true for whether it's one-on-one, group, or a product. What we're going to do is we're going to walk you through the entire first half of the course, and then we're going to walk you through what will happen in the second half. Basically, first we're going to talk about what is your offer. Then we're going to go through outlining your expectations for both you and your clients. Then we're going to discuss the facts and benefits of your program. This is super, super important. And then we're going to wipe the entire whiteboard and start over with outlining your launch sequence.
Yes. And so we can think of 1, 2, and 3 here as being pre-launch, and then step 4, when we wipe the board and go through more content, is going to be the launch. And within the launch, we're going to hit some of the frequently asked questions that we've been asked from you guys in the mentorship, as well as we're going to go over copywriting, some specifics related to copywriting. And a real quick caveat that I wanted to give is I have intentionally incorporated almost zero of what we're talking about over the last 8 years. Jordan has a more comprehensive sales background than I do. The kind of the Gary V, like give value, and then guilt trip method of sales is about the extent of sales tactics that I've used. So I'm going to be learning a little bit here too. I'm going to try and ask thought-provoking questions, thinking as if I'm in your shoes, and obviously I'll contribute where I feel like I can add value, but we're gonna learn from the sales master here in this one.
I also think what's important to consider before we get into this course is the way that Mike and I have set up the mentorship is to start off with content, right? You have the short form content, we have long form content, we have getting emails, then we have sales, right? That's sort of how we've structured the entire mentorship in a very periodization model that you might use similar to strength training. If you follow this model, you don't really need to worry as much about this. In fact, earlier on in my career, this is what I would use when I had a much smaller audience. But as I've grown and as I've learned more about making good sales, I've realized a good sale is made before you ever actually ask for the sale. This is really, really important. A lot of people think, okay, well, all of a sudden I'm just gonna go ask for the sale and people are all of a sudden gonna start buying. But that's sort of the same idea that you're not going to train at all. You're not going to train your power lifts. You're not going to train your squat, your bench press, your deadlift. Then one day you're just going to go into a powerlifting meet and hit a new 1 rep max. That's not how it works. The sale is the test, right? The sale is the test of how well you've done prior to that point, how well you've done with your content, how well you've done interacting with people, how well you've done with your emails, with your articles, with your social media, all of that stuff. The sale is just the ultimate test of that. But the vast majority of your content isn't testing, it's building. Same thing with working out, right? The vast majority of your workouts are not testing your 1 rep max. It's 3s and 4s and 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, higher repetitions, building strength, building muscle, building tendon and ligament strength and resiliency, so that when you do eventually test your 1 rep max, you're stronger, but that's only once every 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months or so. And that's really what this model offers. The model that we're offering you is you don't need to be a master of sales. In fact, realistically, we're fitness professionals. You shouldn't be a master of sales. You should be a master of what you're good at, which is coaching and helping people achieve their goals. And if you do that for free for long enough and you strategize it as we've outlined throughout this course, then this stuff becomes very, very easy.
Yeah. And understand that you're going to make a lot of sales, if not the majority of your sales, outside of the time you're launching, right? Like if you compare times when you've launched compared to the rest of the year or whatever, the rest of the quarter, the rest of the 6 month window, you're going to make more sales from people who just sign up for coaching passively during that time frame than during a launch. But this is obviously still something that we recommend and something that is going to be beneficial for specific larger upticks in clients.
It's also important to remember, and we know we're going off on a tangent before we even dive in, but there are many ways to structure launches, right? There are some companies that their entire business is based off of 1 launch a year, right? Their entire business is one launch every year. And they put a lot of eggs in one basket. It's just a lot of eggs in one basket. They build up a lot of anticipation. We'll talk about the anticipation phase during the launch sequence, but they build up a lot of anticipation for one launch every year, and they go all in for it, and that's where they get the majority. There are other people who will launch every 2 weeks. They'll do a new product every 2 weeks, every month or so. It's a lot more frequent. Per launch, those people will get fewer people signing up than if they just did one every year. And this goes to show that there isn't a single right or wrong way. But what Mike just said about if you just continuously give great content all throughout the year, you'll get more people passively signing on. That's sort of how we both have built our business and how we recommend you do it too, because then you're not relying on a launch. You're not relying on one great little stint of sales copy to get people into your program. What you're really relying on is your knowledge, your education, and your care for other people to get people into your program. This stuff, and especially a lot of the copywriting and sales tactics, it can help a lot, and especially it can help in your everyday writing. But when you base everything off of one big pitch, you end up really putting a lot of eggs in one basket. And to be fair, I used to do that. I've tried it at the beginning. I failed multiple times. I would go all in on a pitch. Very few people, if anyone, would buy it. And after years and years and years of trying, I've finally developed a system and thing that works for me to really get people to sign up when I launch something. But none of that beats what we've outlined for the first 3 parts of every essentially quarter, which is content, emails, pitch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely right.
All right, so the first part of the pre-launch, and just to clarify, the pre-launch is essentially 1 through 3 here. Okay? So the first part of the pre-launch is understanding what is your offer. What are you actually offering people? And this is tremendously important, and it might sound almost obvious, but in the same way eating your fruits and vegetables sounds obvious, but a lot of people still don't eat their goddamn fruits and vegetables. It's like you need to really understand, what are you offering people? Are you offering a group coaching program? Are you offering a one-on-one program? Are you offering a product? And like we've said before, we really think the vast majority of you should be in the one-on-one. Like that's where we think the vast majority of you should be. It's easy to want to go into the scalable revenue, like the low cost revenue, but it is a very, very hard thing to do, especially if you don't have a very, very large audience already. You can do it if you want to talk about setting up Facebook ads and Google ads, and there are opportunities for that, but that you need a team for that. That's not something that you do with a one-man show or a one-woman show. That's something that you do with a team of people where you're spending a significant amount of money every month in order to run those ads, testing ads, being okay with losing a lot of money in order to find the right group of people to really target. It's a whole operation if you're really going to do that if you don't have a larger audience. Not to mention, if you're going one-on-one, you could get 10, 20, 30 people paying you $200 to $300 a month and make a pretty sizable income, versus if you get those same 10, 20, 30 people signing up for a very low cost option, you're probably going to be giving the exact same service for significantly less income on your end, which is going to build a lot of resentment, and it's going to be very hard to build from there.
Yeah, absolutely right. If you're curious about the other options besides one-on-one coaching, we do talk about them in detail in the Introducing Efficiency course, which is either course 11 or course 12. If you're curious, we both strongly recommend starting with one-on-one coaching, and before even thinking about moving into another revenue stream, at least, years of one-on-one coaching, at least 20 to 30 plus one-on-one clients.
So when you're looking at what your offer is, this is where you can actually start to think, okay, cool, so I'm going to offer one-on-one coaching. It's not just one-on-one coaching, though. It's not what you're offering. What you're really offering is an opportunity for people to have accountability. You're offering an opportunity for people to reduce their food anxiety. You're offering an opportunity for people to see how strong they can get, how defined they can get, to love their body. That's really what your offer is. Your offer is not coaching. People aren't paying for coaching. That's really one of the most important things to understand here, is that, number one, there's any number of coaches in the world who are out there offering their services, but people aren't paying for services. They're paying for a result. They're paying for you to show them, to essentially take away all of the ambiguity, all of the guesswork. They're paying for you to help them achieve their goals. So when you're thinking about what you offer people, you're not offering a coaching program. And what I really want you to take from this is when you're writing this out, when you're writing out like either in an Instagram post or in an email or in a podcast or in a YouTube video, when you're explaining what your coaching program is, it's not coaching. This is my, for example, one-on-one online fat loss coaching program in which I'm going to help you lose fat, build muscle, get stronger, and increase your confidence. Do you see, number one, how many words were I versus you? It was all focused on the you. I'm going to help you lose fat. I'm going to help you build muscle. I'm going to help you increase your confidence. I'm going to help you get more defined. That's what the offer is. The offer is what they are going to get from doing it. It's not coaching. Because what the hell is coaching? They don't know what that means. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Just to clarify, this is different than when we in the past have asked coaches to develop their system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
This offering is like a sales offering.
Yes.
Versus the type of offering where a coach wants to know exactly what they are offering to the client, so when they get on a sales call or when they start a new client, they have something that they are offering them. Mm-hmm. These are two different kinds of do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. So we're going to get down into that when we talk about the facts and benefits of the program. And we're also going to discuss it right now when we get into the expectations. But you have to understand what your offer is in terms of, I think one of the biggest lessons I learned through sales is that if you have a good offer, people are going to buy it. If your offer isn't good enough, people won't buy it. And this is so important to understand because this is one of my biggest arguments against doing a lower cost monthly subscription type model. Keeping in mind, that's literally my model right now. That's what I use with the Inner Circle. But I'm against it when you first start. In the same way that I'm against people doing chain resisted deficit deadlifts when you first start deadlifting. In my opinion, 2-inch deficit deadlifts versus chains are one of the best variations you can do to build up a rock, like a stone, like amazing deadlift, like a rock solid deadlift, like one of the best deadlifts in the world, for many, many reasons that are far outside the scope of this discussion. But I wouldn't start people with that variation. I wouldn't start someone going 2-inch deficit deadlifts versus chains. It just makes zero sense. For the same reason, I wouldn't start people with that subscription model lower cost, because the reality is it doesn't matter if it's $2.99 or $299. If the offer sucks, they're not going to take their credit card out. And if your idea is that, oh, well, I want to do a lower cost option because it's easier for people to pay, to justify the payment, no, you're wrong. The hard part isn't figuring out what they're going to pay. The hard part is getting them to actually just take the card out in general. And I've always been a big believer, if you can get someone to take their credit card out for $2.99, you can probably get them to take their credit card out for $299. It's just getting this action to take the card out rather than trying to use the price to justify how you're going to do the program. This is so important. Does all that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking at your offer, if it's a really good offer, you're going to get people to pay for it. But if people aren't paying for it, usually it's because your offer sucks. And this is something I had to go through a lot of trial and error with before I really understood, well, what is an offer? An offer isn't coaching. An offer is what people will get from coaching. And it's a slight twist within the words, but it's super important to understand. It's not your coaching that matters. It's what people will get from working with you, and a lot of this has to do with the facts and benefits of the program. So now let's talk about outlining expectations. The reason that we're going to discuss this before the facts and benefits is because a lot of coaches get anxiety and unsureness in regard to their program because they haven't outlined what their program even is. They don't even know what they're offering. They don't know how it's going to work. They don't know how often the clients are going to check in with them. They don't know how often they're going to get a new program. And equally, if not worse, is they're open to doing whatever the client wants. It was like, yeah, you just check in whenever you want. It's like, yeah, if you want a new program, I'll just give you a new program. That's not how it works. It's a very, very dangerous place to go for yourself and for your client. You need to make a very clear list and literally write this down. What I used to do is I had a PDF that I created, which basically outlined client expectations, like what I expected from my clients and what my clients should expect from me. And this was a clear list, bullet pointed list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how often I was going to check in with them, when I was going to check in with them. And really it was reversed. How often they were supposed to check in with me, when they should check in with me. And I even had a whole note saying, if you do not check in with me, I will not chase you. This is very, very important. Early on in my career, I would. Early on, I'd be texting them and calling them and hitting them up. But as things got more busy, I made it very clear. I will not chase you if you do not reach out to me. This is your responsibility. You are hiring me as your coach. You will get out of this what you put into this. And I made it very, very clear. And I think a lot of people, and including myself when I first started, they get nervous at the thought of doing something like that because they don't want to push people away. But the reality is the more you outline exactly how this works, the more you outline your expectations, the more clear you are about how the program is, the more excited they are to do it. And the more they're going to trust you because you have a system. You have it set up. I think what's important here is your systems will change and your expectations for clients and expectations for yourself will change as you grow, number one, as a coach, and number two, as a business owner. They will change over time, but you need to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. You need, in the same way that the programs you first started writing 3 or 4 years ago are probably very different than the programs you're writing now. Number one, they still probably produce great results if someone stick to them consistently. If someone did your programs 3 or 4 years ago, they probably saw great results. But now that you're a better coach, you understand program design better, you've changed how you design programs, they still produce great results, but now this is just built on the foundation of everything you've built thus far. It's the same thing here. Your systems and what you outline will change as you grow as a coach, but you need to have something concrete for your potential client to look at and say, okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I think it's necessary. I think that going even further on what you said about the fear of pushing clients away, mm-hmm. Not only will having clear expectations make a client more confident in you as a coach because you have a real system, most people just need more boundaries in their life, especially when it comes to something that they want to outsource. I want to outsource thinking about my workouts. I want to outsource thinking about my nutrition. I want to outsource all fitness stuff. Having firm boundaries created for them is actually what they're looking mm-hmm. for. So the lack of flexibility that you'll be giving is going to be something that most people welcome. And for the people who don't welcome it and maybe wanted to do things their own way and that way did not fit your expectations as a coach, those wouldn't have been good clients mm-hmm. for you.
And important on that front also is like someone might say in the consultation process, well, like what happens if I can't get back to you by this time, or what happens if I miss a day of checking in? You're not going to be a hard ass and be like, you're done, you're out. And like, listen, it's this. I'm not treating this like a final exam in college. I'm treating this like I want you to have a schedule. I want you to have a regimented schedule so you know exactly what is happening and when. As you know, when you schedule your workouts as though it's a meeting in your day, like, okay, my workout is this day, this time, non-negotiable, it's more likely to get done. It's the same thing with this. You want to have a schedule laid out, and it doesn't have to be die hard, and it doesn't have to be like either you do it or you're out. But this is a really good way for them to know exactly what is expected of them, what they can expect from you, and then also it's going to take away a lot of anxiety because there's any number of coaches out there. Most coaches do not do this. Most coaches are just looking to try and convert as quickly as they can, get as many clients as they can. And in order to do that, a lot of them will skip this process and then just say, yeah, I'm just going to make it 100% individualized to you. And that's all they say. But what does that even mean? It's just individualized to you, but you don't have a program to individualize it on. You don't even have a base of systems to go with. Now, there are many ways you could do this for in terms of how often a week they're going to check in with you. Maybe it's 1 time a week, maybe it's 7 times a week. Mike used to do about 1 time a week, right? Mm-hmm. I used to do it literally 7 times a week. So literally, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's whatever works best for you. How many times a week they're going to check in. What's going to happen if they don't check in? What are they going to include when they do check in? Calories, protein, macros, their weight. How often are they going to send you measurements? For me, it was every 2 weeks. How often are they going to send you pictures? For me, it was every 4 weeks. How often are they going to send you their body weight? For me, it was every day. The reason that we're hesitant to just tell you exactly what to do here is because we want you to do that as the coach. We want you to find what's important measurements for you. I mean, let's say you're focusing on gut health. That's your specialty and you want to focus on gut health. Who knows? Maybe you're going to have them like explain how good their poops are in their check-ins, how frequently they're pooping. Maybe take a picture of their poop for all I know. I don't know. That I don't want to tell you exactly what we do because we don't want that to make you think that's the only way to do it, because what we do is not the only way to do it. What you need to do is figure out what markers are the most important for you based on your markers of success as a coach, and then include that in this outline.
Yeah, very well said.
Anything you want to add or feel good on that?
I feel good on that. Cool.
So outlining the expectations, and just I'll clarify a little bit more on this. I made a PDF that I had the expectations that I expected from clients and that what they could expect from me. And I would send this to someone before they signed on coaching with me. This is something that they would email me like, hey, I'm thinking about coaching with you. Like, is this a possibility? And I always, when they send me that email, usually what's happening is they're interviewing me. The frame is I'm interviewing you to see if you were good enough as a coach for me. And I didn't like that frame. I immediately wanted to make it, well, I'm going to see if you're good enough of a client for me. I wanted to be interviewing them. So that's why I would send this thing. I'd say, well, listen, so here's what I have. I have basically a list of expectations and requirements of what I expect from my clients and what my clients can expect from me. Take a look at this, let me know if it makes sense, and then from here we'll be able to hop on the phone and chat and see if we're a good fit. That's where it would go, and I would send that at first, and immediately, it was very interesting for me once I started incorporating this, immediately their tone would change in their email, being like going from, hey, just trying to see if you think that you're a good coach, or just trying to see if like what's going on with your coaching program, immediately went from essentially interviewing me to them wanting to impress me so that I would accept them into my coaching program.
They're qualifying themselves.
That's exactly right. They're qualifying themselves to be like, I doubt any of them had ever reached out to a coach before who possibly might not have taken them on, right? So all of a sudden, when they're emailing someone and I'm telling them like, well, we'll see if you're a good fit for my coaching program, now they want to be good enough for my coaching program. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So write all of those down. And what I would do is I would go out of your way to write more than you need to. Try and make like 20 to 50 different things for expectations. You might only end up using 10 of each in each section, 10 expectations for them, 10 expectations for you. But write down more than less. Figure out which ones are the most important for you and put probably the top 10 into a PDF or an email, canned response email that you can send to someone when they reach out to you. Or at the very least, just keep it by your side so that you can always refer to it, send it to people as they come, and then change it as you progress as a coach.
Can you think of, and obviously we don't just want to copy your list, but can you think off the top of your head, you listed several what the client can expect from the coach. Can you think of examples besides, I'm not going to chase you down, of what you expect from clients?
Yeah, so number one is for me, the way that I work with my clients is I expected them to email me every morning as soon as they woke up, after they peed and pooped, and before they ate or drank anything, to email me their weight from that morning, their calories, and their protein from the day before. That was clear as day, one of the very first things on my list. I was like, first thing when you wake up, I expect you to send me this email. And I said, I don't care if you include the entire email in the subject line. I don't care if you include more in the email. If you have questions, please, this is your opportunity to ask me questions every single day. But you must send me this every single day. There was a period of time where I said, if you want to work with me, you are required to send me a video of your bodyweight squat, your bodyweight push-up, and any compound movement that you want me to work on. You are required to send me a video of it before I send you your first program. And it was very, very important for me to put in there. I only put it in there after I had a handful of issues with clients being like, they hadn't sent me their videos yet. But they were like, where's my first program? And I'd say, you didn't send me your videos yet, and I'm not going to send you your program until I get your videos. Later in my career, I nixed that. And I said, if you want me to review your videos, I will. But it became something where it became too much of a battle. It took up too much time, too much energy. And I was like, you know what? If they just want the program, I'll send them the program. But I made it very clear. I was like, number one, if you want anything reviewed technique-wise, there is no limit to how many videos you can send. I will not. There's no limit to that. I will watch any video, any number of sets, any number of reps that you want, and I'll give you my critique on it. That was number one. I also said,
any personality, like hardworking, honest with me, I expect you, to tell the truth. Were there any?
Actually, thinking back to it, no, I didn't. But that would have been great.
Okay.
I think that would be great to include in there in terms of you have to be 100% honest with me. I think that would be a great thing to include. To be honest with you, you must be 100% honest with me. There's no lying about your weight. There's no lying about your calories and your protein. Like, you need to be 100% truly honest and objective with me. Another thing that was very important about technique videos, though, is one thing I would say is, if you tell me that a movement is hurting and you want an idea of how to correct that movement, you must send me a video. The number of people who would say, like, hey, like lunges are hurting my knees, what do you think is going wrong, and not include a video would drive me up the wall. And I'd say, you will not get a technique correction unless you include a video.
How about after getting that email and then saying, can you please send me a video, and then never getting a video?
Happens all the time. So and this is why, again, it's important. This will change as you grow, the more people you work with, but make this set of expectations. It holds you accountable as a coach, so you know when you must get them their program, so you know how long. If you want to reply to your clients within 72 hours, tell them you'll hear from me within 72 hours, not including weekends. If you don't want to be replying on the weekends, just put it out in here. This is so important. As long as you set your expectations from the beginning, it's going to be okay. This is one of the best lessons that I had to learn the hard way over years and years and years, was I used to think that if I wasn't going above and beyond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, replying immediately, then I was going to lose my clients. When the reality is, all I had to do was tell them from the very beginning what it was actually going to be like truthfully, and it was okay. So now we are going to get into the facts and the benefits of your program. This is one of the lessons that, number one, I wish I learned earlier on. And the reality is I learned it at a pretty young age, but I wish I learned it earlier. And also, this is one of the things that seems very obvious and seems very simple, but it's tremendously difficult to really understand this. Now, I also think it's worth prefacing by saying, I am not a copywriting master. Like, I am not like a copywriter. I'm not. I'm a fitness coach who has a relatively high copywriting IQ compared to fitness coaches. But if you put me in the world of copywriters, I suck. I think I do very well in the fitness industry because I've studied enough copywriting to be dangerous. I know enough copywriting principles, and I've studied it enough to be, I would say this, a 3 times bodyweight deadlift is an advanced deadlift for just the general population, right? For a 3 times bodyweight deadlift for men is advanced for most men. I think a 2.5 times bodyweight deadlift for women is advanced. I would say in the world of copywriting, I might have a 2.5 times bodyweight deadlift, which is not advanced yet. Like, I don't have that advanced level copywriting strategy, but it's way better than most and significantly better than most in the fitness industry. And facts and benefits took me a lot of time studying copywriting to really start to understand, and it sort of circles back to what we were talking about before, how people aren't paying for coaching, they're paying for what they get from coaching. So this right here, if there's nothing else you take from this course, I really hope this is one of the major things you take from this course. And what I want to really hammer in on here is, when I first started studying this stuff, I would literally handwrite facts and benefits of a program before I ever launched it. And I would do it for my one-on-one program. I would do it for any program that I was launching. In fact, I remember when I came to New York to interview with Mike and Gary for the job coaching Gary Vaynerchuk, I had just launched a new program. It was called Strength Finishers, 52 Strength Finishers, one new strength finisher for every week of the year. And I just launched it, and I had maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people on my email list at the time. It had done the best of any program I'd ever done thus far. And this was the first one that I'd really sat down and listed the facts and the benefits of it. And it made writing my sales emails and copywriting so much easier because I finally got it. I also used to do this for things completely and utterly outside of the fitness industry, and I'm going to explain it to you right now, and I think that you should do this too. When I first really started to understand the difference between facts and benefits, as I first used to do it with a car, and this was on the advice of Dan Kennedy, who's arguably one of the greatest copywriters of all time. He'd say, take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On one side, write all of the facts of the car, and on the other side, write all of the benefits of the car. And he gave like a red Corvette as an example, right? So it's like, number one fact about the car is that it's a Corvette. Another fact about the car is that it's red. Another fact about the car is whatever type of engine it has. Another fact about the car is whatever type of tires it has. Another fact about the car is how much horsepower it has, right? These are just facts about the program, about the car, excuse me. When most people write a piece of sales copy for their program, they write the facts as though they're benefits, and they'll do something like this. My one-on-one coaching program is 100% individualized. It's 8 weeks long. It's specifically designed for you. It's 4 times a week strength training. And in your head, you're just writing down all of these facts, and it's true, they're factual. This is what the program includes, but you haven't told them why it's important. And that's what a benefit is. A fact is explaining what the program is, what it does. A benefit explains why they should care. Why should someone care about the car being red? Well, this specific color red is so beautiful, so glimmers in the sunlight, that every single person that watches you drive by will wish they were sitting with you in that car. They wish that they could have that car. You will be the envy of everybody in town. That's a benefit. This car has, I don't know what a good horsepower is. I know nothing about cars. This car has 5 million horsepower. Okay? Clearly a stupid thing to say, but we're going to go with it. 5 million horsepower. That's a fact. It has 5 million horsepower, and you will go so fast and you will accelerate so rapidly that you will leave every single one of your friends in the dust, and everyone will watch you speed away. They won't even be able to see you in a blink of an eye. It's a benefit, right? And clearly these are seriously over exaggerated, but I have to exaggerate it in order for you to really understand the difference between a fact and a benefit. And keep in mind, the differences that I'm telling you right now took me many months to really, really understand. So now let's go to your fitness program. This fitness program is individualized. Cool, no one cares. They don't care if it's individualized. They care if it works. So what's the benefit of individualization? My program is 100% individualized, so you will get 24/7 support from me. No matter what you're going through, I will be there for you to hold you accountable, to keep you motivated, and to make sure that even and especially when you feel like giving up, you don't, because I'll be there to light a fire under your ass. That's what people want. The number of messages I get every day from someone being like, oh, can't you just move to where I am and be my personal coach to keep me motivated all day long and grab the things out of my hand so I don't eat it? It's like people want that. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, they want it, but they want someone always there for them. That's what's great about individualization, is the idea of knowing that they're not just a number. The idea of knowing that they have a coach who cares about them and their needs and will be there for them no matter what. That's one option. Another option is this program, you'll be strength training 3 times a week and doing cardio 2 times a week. Those are facts about the program. Strength training 3 times, cardio 2 times. No one cares. Why should they care about 3 times a week and 2 times a week? This program is structured so you'll be strength training 3 times a week and doing metabolic conditioning 2 times a week, so that you can build muscle, you can get more defined, get stronger than you ever have in your entire life, and on the metabolic conditioning days, burn more calories and increase your metabolism to keep it revved up for another 48 hours. Whatever it is, you don't have to say any of that. But I'm outlining the difference between a fact of your program, you'll strength train 3 times a week, doing metabolic conditioning 2 times a week, and the benefit of it. A really simple way to understand this is the benefit, you can often frame it in the form of so you can. This is called so you can marketing. You have the fact, 3 times a week strength training, so you can is the benefit. 3 times a week lifting weights, so you can get stronger, build muscle, get more defined without spending every waking moment at the gym. That's a benefit. You have, this program is going to utilize both maximal effort and dynamic effort strength training. So you can get stronger than every single person in your gym and also more powerful and more explosive. So you can be stronger than no matter how the strongest person is at your gym, and also sprint for longer, run for longer, be leaner, whatever it is. These are all benefits, right? You explain the facts followed by some, you don't have to, if you use so you can for every single one, they're going to catch on to it. It looks a little bit weird. If you have a list of 10 facts and benefits and every single one is so you can, so you can, so you can, it looks a little bit odd. But you could have this, so you can do that, and this. Here's the other, this is the magic word of marketing. You know what the magic word is?
Is it because?
Because. The magic word of marketing is because. This is the guy that says he's not a sales master.
Just
Because. So you can is also like because. It's this. Because when you eat this way, you will be able to develop a healthier relationship with food, eliminate food anxiety, and reduce your body fat so you can get more defined. So you can and because are two very good ways to outline whatever it is your benefit is. There are other ways as well, but so you can and because are my two personal favorites, and they work very, very well. If you go look through any of my sales copy, you will see the word because littered throughout the entire sales copy. Because. Anything that follows because is a reason why. Reason why marketing. So you can marketing. It doesn't just explain the fact. It explains why they should care about the fact. Giving them a reason why. And actually, I'll tell you, there's a study. I don't know who it was done by or when it was done. But there was a study in which there were people standing in line to either do a copyright, a fax or a copy machine, whatever it was. They were standing in line, and they had people go up to that line, and they would just ask to cut in front of the line. The people who were asked to cut, one group of people, when they were asked to cut in front of the line, they'd be like, hey, would you mind if I cut in front of you? They just asked, could I cut in front of you? The other group said, would you mind if I cut in front of you because I'm in a rush? All they did was add the reason why. And the group that was asked and gave a reason why were significantly more likely to allow someone to cut in front of them versus someone being like, hey, could I cut in front of you? No, get the fuck back. Hey, can I cut in front of you? I'm in a rush. Yeah, sure, go for it. Even just something as simple as that, giving them the reason why, makes it easier for them to understand why it's important and for them to buy into it.
So we have a list of facts and benefits. Are you saying that within our sales copy we are only discussing benefits, or are you saying that we want to make sure to discuss the benefits and there will be facts in there as well?
The benefits only make sense next to the facts, so they go hand in hand.
Got it.
And we'll talk about this later on when we discuss, we'll wipe the board clean and we'll do a whole launch sequence, and we'll give you sales copy tactics. One of the sales copy tactics is using bullet points. And part of the bullet points, the first part of the bullet point, if you look in my emails, I do this all the time. The first bolded part of the bullet point is the fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact of saying, in this program, you'll be strength training 4 times a week. That's the fact.
Got it.
Followed by, so you can get in and out in less than 60 minutes per session, and you don't have to spend every waking moment, but you can still get strong as all hell.
Got it.
Right? So you have both of them. And if you look at like the messages from some of the best copywriters of all time, Dan Kennedy and so on and so forth, you'll see them recommend that for every piece of sales copy, you should have at least 100 facts and 100 benefits for whatever it is you're selling. We're not copywriters. This is not what we do. You don't have to have 100, but I would say at least 20 to 25. And you'll be shocked how long it takes you to write 25 facts and 25 benefits about your program. You don't need to use all of them. And once you get good at it, you'll know just from doing it so many times over and over again which ones work best and which ones don't. At this point in time, I have about 4 to 6 that I use over and over again with whatever it is I'm selling, because I know that's what people need to hear in order for them to get what they actually need. That's what people want to hear in order for them to get what they need in my program. And so it's taken me years to develop these 4 to 6, but when I first started, I would do 100. I would write 100 facts and 100 benefits, and they would be completely and utterly outrageous. But I had to practice writing the facts and practice writing the benefits in order to arrive at this really solid 4 to 6 that do very well consistently. And when you really understand what facts and what benefits work really well, then you can sell literally anything you want. And the best part is you can use this to your advantage to help people. Because if you have the best program in the world, but no one buys it, you're not helping anybody. The whole purpose of this isn't to sell shit. The whole purpose of this is to help you be a better salesperson, to help more people. This isn't to try and trick people into buying something that sucks. It's to try and show them why it's so important that they allow you to help them.
Well said.
All right, so now we are going to get into the entire launch sequence. This is really when we go from theory to practical application. And especially we've gotten a lot of requests for, we want more business information, we want more business information. So you're about to get it. This is a very in-depth, very practically applicable launch sequence that you can use on email or social media. This is probably the most practical application we're ever going to get in regard to sales. It doesn't get much more practical than this. We're going to go over the launch sequence. Then after the launch sequence, we're going to go over specific copywriting tactics that you can use, whether you're doing your pitch via email or on the phone, whatever it is, and also answer some Q&A that we had in the group as well. So the thing that's really important to remember with this is it's very malleable and you can change it to fit your needs. And by the way, this isn't just for social media. It's not just for email. This same style launch sequence could be used on a radio show when people were selling stuff via radio. The same style launch sequence could be used via newspaper ads when a lot of stuff was done via newspaper. It's the same exact principle. In the same way we have principles of strength training and we have principles of nutrition. These are principles of sales and launch sequences regardless of where it's being done. Okay, so the first part of the launch sequence begins with a survey. Now, the survey, there are many, many ways to do this. I've done number one when I'm doing it via email. One of the ways I could do it is actually before I go into how to do it, I'll explain why to do it. The survey is basically your way of getting people to raise their hand to say they're interested or not. This is very important. When you're launching a new product, you number one want people to feel like they're a part of the product. You want people to feel like they are contributing to it. They are maybe one of the people who helped give you an idea for it. Because when people feel like they were a part of the creation, they now feel more of a connection with it and a desire to be a part of it as it progresses. Almost like this obligation to want to watch it continue to improve and to be a part of it. So when you do a survey, and essentially what you're saying is, would you be interested in something like this? Let me know. When they raise their hand and say yes, they are now exponentially more likely to want to continue and sign up for it. So there are many ways to get people to proverbially raise their hand, right? They're not like actually raising their hand unless in your email you're right, raise your hand right now. That's not what you're going for. There are a couple things you can do. Via email, you could say, hit reply and let me know if this is something you'd be interested in if you're doing this via your email list. One thing I've done with my email list, and I love doing this, I haven't done this in a long time, but it works really, really well, is you make a SurveyMonkey survey, right? So you go to surveymonkey.com, it's 100% free, you make a survey, you ask 4 to 6 questions, and you say, hey, do me a favor, I have a quick survey I'd like you to fill out. And you can ask them any number of questions about what they'd be interested in, what their goals are, what they might be interested in terms of a program or product or anything along those lines. 4 to 6 questions is plenty. Getting their interest piqued about what maybe they want to improve on or what they might like to achieve over the next 3 to 6 months. Once they have these submissions, they send these submissions in. Number one, the cool part about it is you can directly see what people are saying they want. Like you see in the survey, especially in the open response questions, and I like to have at least one open response question in this survey. When you have an open response question, not just a yes or no or like a good or bad or right or wrong, given one open response question, usually my open response question is, tell me what is the one major obstacle you're struggling with right now that you would like to overcome to achieve your goals? What is the one biggest obstacle keeping you from achieving your goals? They'll outline exactly what the obstacle is. For some people, they'll say it's time. For some people, they'll say it's energy. For some people, they'll say it's motivation. For some people, they'll say it's lack of equipment. Any number of things. But when you get a large-scale amount of data from people saying, well, this is my issue, this is my obstacle, now you're going to start to see exactly what you can address, number one, with your program, what problem people have, and number two, what to address in your sales copy. Because if you get 78% of people telling you that their major issue is time and they don't have an hour to spend in the gym, but then you come out with a 4 times a week gym program that's going to take 75 minutes to get through each workout, that's clearly not a good thing to put together, because those people on your email list or people answering the survey don't want that. That it's not good for them. So for you in that case, maybe the correct program would be, hey, I'm going to make an at-home bodyweight program that's going to take 20 minutes or less every day. That makes a lot more sense, right? And this is why getting a survey is so important, because on one hand, you can see what people's actual problems are, what their struggles actually are. And on the other hand, you also get them saying like, hey, I'm actually interested in this. Do you want to add anything to that?
Not from a sales perspective, but I would it makes a lot of sense. I've never done this. Hearing this seems like it makes a lot of sense because you have a better idea of what your audience wants.
Mm-hmm.
I would just be very careful not to move too far in the direction of what they want, because some audiences might want to, like, you know, get 8% body fat and look amazing and be jacked and not work out. And so, like, there's, you know, or do 2 bodyweight workouts a week. Like, there's a line between what actually physiologically makes sense and like what you believe in and what they want. So just be careful.
I think it's important. I've never had anybody in any of my surveys say like they want to get this amount of lean, like 7% body fat without working out at all. I think when you address what their biggest obstacle is, tell me what is your biggest obstacle in achieving your goals, they'll immediately tell you why they haven't been able to succeed thus far. And usually that will come from a lack of motivation, lack of time, lack of equipment, and your program will help solve that problem. So if that means that instead of spending 2 hours in the gym, your program will be 45 minutes 4 times a week, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very doable. If their issue is sustainability, I haven't been able to find a diet that I've been able to sustain, well, cool. Now your program is based around being able to enjoy your favorite foods in moderation without eliminating any one thing.
Yeah.
You find out what their obstacle is, and it's impossible to address every single person's obstacle, but like I was speaking about before, we can make bullet points, right? And bullet points of explaining, hitting a lot of these major issues, because the reality is most of us struggle with the exact same things. It might not be everyone 100%. One person might be struggling to gain weight and one person might be struggling to lose weight. Clearly you don't want to make one program for both of those people. It doesn't make sense. Well, if you struggle with losing weight, this is your program. And if you struggle with gaining weight, this is your program. You can't do that. You have to make it for one specific type. But usually if someone wants to lose weight, they probably also want to get more defined. They also probably want to improve their diet. They also probably want to improve their sleep quality. They also probably want to get more motivated. They want to have more accountability. They want to get more exercise in. You can see a lot of the common themes with people, right? And that's what you can structure your program around. So you can also do this on social media. And you'll see me doing this a fair amount on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or even Twitter, is I'll just say like, hey, if you're interested in something like this, drop a comment below. Let me know in the comments. Or, and I used to do this when I didn't have as big of a social media audience, I would say, leave a comment below or shoot me a message to let me know. I did the shoot me a message for 2 major reasons. Number one is because when you don't have as much of a social media audience, you obviously aren't going to have as many comments. And if you're not getting as many comments, then it's harder to be that first person to comment and say, yes, I want that. Right? Very few people want to be the first one, which is why, by the way, if you've ever been to like one of these Tony Robbins events or whatever it is, where they'll do a whole pitch to you at the end of the seminar. They'll have this whole weekend seminar and they'll pitch you on this like $10,000 thing. They'll have people in the crowd who'll be like, I want in, I'll buy it, and they're staged. They're people who are put there to basically get the ball rolling because no one wants to be the very first one. So when I say like send me a message leave a comment or send me a message, it gives people the opportunity to send me a message just in case they didn't feel comfortable leaving the comment. And also, just in terms of, if you only say leave a comment, maybe no one leaves you a comment and then people look at it and they're like, oh, clearly no one wants this anyway. Versus when you say send me a message, now no one knows how many people are messaging you. And it creates a little bit of uncertainty and still creates a little bit more desire for people to want to join in. I don't know if does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So you can survey in any number of ways. You can do it in your social media comment section. You can do it by hitting reply to your email. You can do a survey on MailChimp, or not on MailChimp, on SurveyMonkey.com for free. There's no shortage of ways to do this. The main point is when you say, hey, I'm thinking about creating X, Y, Z type of a program. I'm thinking about making a 30-day fat loss challenge. Is this something you would be interested in? Hit reply and let me know. You get a bunch of people hitting reply. I'm thinking about creating a deadlift specialization program to help you increase your deadlift by at least 20 pounds in the next 2 months. If you'd be interested in that, leave a comment or shoot me a message and let me know. Now you're interacting with people, you're getting engaged for what people may or may not be interested in. And best of all, if no one replies and no one says anything, probably not the best idea to create that program. Because if nobody's interested in even telling you that they're interested, then odds are they're not going to be interested enough to buy it at all. Because usually what you'll do is you'll get more people saying they're interested. Not always, but usually you'll get more people saying they're interested in than actual number of people who buy it. More people will say they're interested in it than actually buy it, oftentimes because it's easier to say I'm interested than it is to actually pull their credit card out, right? So oftentimes you get more people, yeah, I want that. And then a bunch of those people won't actually even buy it. But it's not to get every single one of them, it's just you get a percentage of it. And over time, as you get more and more people replying, you get more and more people buying as well. Anything you want to add? Cool. All right, so that's the survey part of it. Now we'll go to the anticipation phase. So usually what I'll do is I'll start the survey usually about 3 to 4 weeks before I would like to launch my actual product. Okay, so this is about a month in advance. I'm surveying people, and this
in the context of coaching, can we give a quick
either
timeline or survey example? So in the context of coaching, we're obviously not coming up with maybe it could be a name to our coaching program, but the biggest one here is for the benefits that we can then list in our sales copy is the biggest thing we're getting from the survey.
So for example, one thing you could do for your survey for a one-on-one coaching program, you could be like, hey, listen, I'm thinking about I'm taking on a handful of new clients, 2 to 5 new coaching clients who are, and you don't have to say that if you don't want to, you don't have to say 2 to 5, but I'm thinking about taking on a handful of new coaching clients who specifically want to work on dropping body fat, improving their relationship with food, spending minimal time in the gym, getting more defined, blah, 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 right? You say like this, a new coaching program or a new coaching method designed around this. And you can name it if you really wanted to. Some people think that it's very important to come up with a program name. So one thing that I used to do is I used to have this beta tester program that I used to run, and it did unbelievably well. I basically called it metabolic shock, okay? And I called it metabolic shock, and right in the sales copy I said, you cannot shock your metabolism. You cannot shock your metabolism. That's not how it works. But in this program, I'm looking to take on 1 male and 1 female to try this new style of training and nutrition that I'm working on. And the training program was something that I'd completely put together. It was brand new, and I wanted to try it out on 2 people. Number 1, because I knew it was gonna work. I knew it was really going to work, and I knew if 2 people stuck with it, I would get tremendous testimonials out of working with them, and they would get a lot of benefit as well. So it was basically one of my recurring themes that I would do is I'd run this metabolic shock thing, and I'd be like, listen, anyone who says you can shock your metabolism is a liar, but here's what I want to do with you. I want to take on 2 people to try this new program. And having a name for the program, it was a 3-month program, and I pitched it the exact same way that I pitched my one-on-one coaching program, which is it's a 3-month minimum commitment. If after 3 months you decide you don't want to work with me anymore, you decide I don't know what I'm talking about, then you can leave. If after 3 months you'd like to continue working together, amazing, we'll keep going. And that's how I would oftentimes in an email sequence launch this metabolic shock program to get people in. And you could do that with your one-on-one coaching program. The issue is when you just call it one-on-one coaching, just like we were talking about before, people aren't signing on for coaching. They're signing on for what they get from coaching, which is why having a name can actually be pretty beneficial. Having a name for your coaching or the program that you're running or the test that you're running, just because it gives people more of a solid, clear idea of what am I going to get out of this. If your program is specifically built or geared towards gaining mass, like getting as big as possible, you could call it like the Get Fucking Huge program. Like that would be a totally fine name to call it, unless like you are against cursing. If you wanted to call it like if you're a gut health expert and you're trying to help people with digestion, like I'm not a marketing expert in that world, but I would think something to the effect of like minimizing bloating and improving digestion and all of that would be within the marketing copy, and you could come up with a clever name as related to that. But either way, you run this survey based around whatever you think people are. You ask people, all right, are you going to want something that is going to do this, and this? If you're interested, hit reply. If you're interested, leave a comment. If you're interested, send me a message, whatever it is. Then you can get the response from that, and based on that response, then you can move forward or not move forward, depending on if you don't get any response whatsoever. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So then we're going to go into the anticipation phase. And anticipation phase, now this is about 2 weeks out, okay? So, and keep in mind, this is sort of based on the monthly pitching sequence, like when you pitch every month or so. But let's say you're just going to do one pitch over the course of every 4 months, which is what we're recommending you do. Every 4 months you do a new pitch. Then you could do 3 months just building your social media, building your website, building your emails, then boom, spend a month long pitching. So now basically what you do is for anticipation, you let them know, hey, I'm really excited. I got a bunch of responses from you. People were saying they're very interested in this. They really are struggling with this. They need help with this. So I've decided that I'm going to make this brand new program called XYZ. And that's it. It's this brand new program. It's going to be specifically designed to improve your relationship with food, help you get stronger, get more muscle definition. Whatever your program is actually going to help them do, you're going to explain it in the anticipation phase. The anticipation phase lasts from essentially from the moment that it begins, once the survey phase is over, until you start launching. So anticipation can last usually anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. And over those 2 weeks, you'll mention it on social media and email a number of times. It will then become the main focus of your everyday discussion. You're not going to bombard them with it every single post, but soft mentions of it here and there. If you're making it on your computer, posting about it on your story and your Instagram feed, being like, calling it the Project X or whatever it's called, or I would say metabolic shock, designing the new metabolic shock programs, whatever it is. Maybe you write your whole Instagram caption, you're writing about intermittent fasting or meal frequency or protein intake, and at the very end, P.S. super excited, metabolic shock is well underway. It looks like we're going to be launching in about a week. Just little things here in your emails, in your social media captions, in your stories, on your tweets, just mentioning it, getting people excited about it, and asking about it. This is the anticipation phase where people don't really know what it's going to be yet, but they know that you're excited about it. They see that you're working very hard on it, and this way they can start the countdown for when it will finally be available for them. You want to add anything to that?
You're rolling.
So I would say one of the best marks of a good launch is how well you do at the anticipation phase. If you go back to look at my emails from 4 or 5 years ago, I crushed this sequence. I did super well with this sequence because I relied heavily on it. I didn't have a big audience, but my very small audience had a very high buying percentage, oftentimes because I was very good with this. Now, I don't do it very much. I don't rely very heavily on this because my audience buys from me regardless of whether I just launch something randomly one day or I announce it a month ahead of time, because they trust me and because I've built up that trust. And that's what we really want you to focus on. We want you to focus on building up the trust and the loyalty within your audience from doing the right thing regardless of this stuff. And that's why we've always been hesitant to tell you about this stuff, because a lot of people try and rely on this when the reality is you should rely on doing the right thing. And these strategies work. And a great launch often is massively amplified by a wonderful anticipation phase, getting people really psyched up for it. But I would 10 times out of 10 rather have no anticipation phase, none of this, no knowledge about any of this, but just an audience that fully trusts me and is excited about anything I put out, way more than being a master at copywriting. Because as long as your audience trusts you, they're going to buy from you, regardless of how well you do this.
Yeah. One of the other reasons I think that you did more of this early on is because in any coach's career, the more clients you work with, the more new clients will come from referral. Mm-hmm. So not only trust via content and what you're giving for free online, but also trust from doing a good job of coaching people to make progress, to meet the expectations that you're giving them as a coach up front. Such a high percentage of both of our clients when Jordan was doing more coaching, but come from client referrals that you naturally over time, if you're doing a good job, you become less dependent on needing to sell.
Yeah. One of the major important parts of the anticipation phase is coming up with a set launch date. So you have a specific day and a specific time when things are going to launch. And that you announce that right at the beginning of the anticipation phase. all right, have the new program. It's called this. It's going to launch at this day at this time. It's going to be either available for this many hours, it'll be available for 24 hours, or it'll be available for a week, or it'll be available for 5 people or 10 people or 25 people. You give a number, or you give a certain timeline by which it will be available for, or both. Maybe it will only be available for 72 hours or for the first 10 people, whichever one comes first, right? So now people know, number one is they took a survey, they told you they would be interested in what you're putting together. Now you tell them you're putting it together, and the official launch date is going to be this day, this time. There will be this much opportunity for you to get it. Now for about 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how long you decide your anticipation phase to go for. And actually, I'll say this. I spoke earlier about how some people will do one launch a year. They put all their eggs in one basket. Their anticipation phase will be the whole year. It will be about 11 months, 11 and a half months of just anticipation. Building it up, building it up, building it up, building it up, and it takes a long time. But ideally, by the end of that year, a ton of people want to buy in. They've got a lot of new eyes on them, and they're ready for this new program. They've been hearing about it for a year, right? But for the purposes of how we structure it, usually this will be once every quarter or so. But you build this for you only need 1 to 2 weeks. You don't need that much, because after a certain point, sometimes people just get tired of hearing about it. You have their interest at the beginning, but then you keep mentioning it. If it goes on for too long, the excitement dies down. 1 to 2 weeks is plenty of an anticipation phase. Then you go into, basically, as part of the anticipation phase, you have education, right? So it's not that they're necessarily separate. Education comes as part of anticipation, all right? The reason that I wanted to separate them here is because a lot of people, when they're doing anticipation, they're really only just trying to hype it up, right? They're just trying to hype the program up. But the more you do that, the more annoying you get. If that's all that you're doing, they'll stop opening your emails, they'll stop looking at your posts. Enough already, we get it. When you go back to what you're really good at, which is educating people, and you include education within the anticipation phase, now they still have a reason to really open your emails. They still have a reason to read your content, to watch your content, because you're educating them. Mm-hmm. And usually what you do is, through that education process, is you soft mention the program within the education material, okay? So if let's say you have a program on developing a better relationship with food and getting leaner and more defined and stronger, maybe you have one of your pieces is on deadlift technique, right? So you do an educational piece on deadlift technique, and you give them 5 ways to master the deadlift. And who's a master at this is Eric Cressy. Like, Eric Cressy dominates this form of content marketing, where he'll do 5 ways to master the deadlift. The first 4 ways are great videos and techniques and strategies, to master the deadlift. The 5th way will be, by the way, my new deadlift domination or mastery program is coming out in a week. Make sure you either subscribe to my email list or stay tuned, whatever, turn your notifications on to see when that program comes out. So this is all built towards the anticipation phase. This is all still building anticipation for the final product, but you're educating them throughout it. And not to mention, the more you educate someone on something, the more they want to do it. The more you educate someone on how to do something and how to properly perform something or do something, the more excited they are to actually put it into practice and try it. Probably sort of the same thing that you're feeling right now about this launch sequence. You're like, oh, I want to try that, because you're learning about it. It's the exact same thing with fitness and nutrition. When someone first learns how to use intermittent fasting, or when someone first learns how to deadlift properly, the first thing they want to do is try it, because they've learned more about it. So using education as part of the anticipation phase is very, very powerful, not only just in terms of getting them to want to try it, but also in terms of getting them to continue to open your emails and read your content. Because if all you're doing is blowing smoke up their ass, just talking about how great it's going to be, eventually they're going to die out, they're going to get bored of it, and they're not going to read your stuff anymore. Anything you want to add to that?
No, very well said. And just know that anticipation can be intertwined into all types of education. Whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a podcast, any type of educational content you're putting out, you can, in a very soft mention, work in that anticipation.
And what's also really important here is, the more excited you are, the more excited they'll be. If you're excited about this new thing you're coming out with, they'll be excited about it. If you're sort of
Yeah.
ho-hum about it, you don't like, yeah, whatever, like this new program, they're not going to care. But if you're like, I am beyond excited to show you what I've come up with. I've spent a lot of time, I spent the last few weeks putting this together. You told me you were interested in this, and I couldn't believe I never thought of it before. I've been working my ass off, staying up late, burning the midnight oil to make sure I could get this together. I think this is going to be great. I can't wait for you to try it. Now they're going to be excited with you. So part of the anticipation is also telling them how excited you are to try it and to work with them on it. Then we get into the launch sequence. And the launch sequence, again, we could be talking about something over the course of a year, one every month. For the purposes of definitely how I've found it to work best, is 1 week is plenty. If you want to do a launch sequence for 9 to 10 days, you can. It's a long time. It's a 7-day launch sequence it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work up front, and the reality is you don't need that. But I would say as you get better and as you grow and the more of an audience you get, 7 days works very well. Generally speaking, and we sort of outlined this right here, we have a 7-day launch sequence laid out for you. What I'll start off by saying right here is, before we even get into the individual days, one of the most common questions and common debates among marketers is, what day should day one be? Should day one be Monday? Should day one be, what day of the week should day one of the launch sequence be? And this is something you have to think about all the way from the anticipation phase, because you're going to announce the day that it will be available, the day and time that it will start being available. So you have to know this about 3 to 4 weeks before you even launch it. And I'll tell you my thoughts and opinions on this. On one hand, a lot of people say Monday is the best day because it's the new week. People are they're starting work, they're checking their email again, whatever it is. On the other hand, a lot of people say Friday is the best day to start the launch sequence. And the reason a lot of people say Friday is the best day is because that's usually when people get their paychecks. People get their paychecks on Friday, and people are most likely to spend money once they've received money. As soon as they get money, they're much more lax with it, and they're easier, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, whatever it is. In my experience, it really doesn't matter. It really is minutia, and that's the kind of argument you get. Sort of like the people who say, well, what's better, sumo or conventional deadlift? And like they'll fight to the death arguing over what's better, sumo or conventional, when the reality is it really just depends on the individual. It doesn't matter as long as your audience trusts you, they're excited about the product, and that's it. That's really the most important part. So day one, I would either do Monday or Friday. I think those are probably the two best days to do it. I wouldn't start on a Wednesday. I definitely wouldn't start on the weekend. I don't think starting on a Saturday or Sunday is a good idea, mainly just because a lot of people are with their family. They're not checking their emails. If they are checking their emails, they're not as urgent to sit down and buy something. They're not often looking at it for a long period of time. Monday morning or a Friday morning is a really good place to start. And Friday is a very good place to finish as well. So for what we'll do here is we'll call this a Monday. All right. So this is Monday starting off. And then basically day one, trying to see what that says there, it's an announcement. Okay. So day one, you have to remember, when you get to day one of the launch sequence, you've been building anticipation now for at least 2 weeks or so, right? So 1 to 2 weeks of anticipation phase. So they know this is coming. They know, because you've told them a number of times already that on this day at this time it's starting. The day one, so this is a social media post and this is your email. So this is it, for your email and your social media posts. You do not need long, outrageous sales copy or posts. If you've done a good job with your anticipation phase, people should be watering at the mouth. They should be they should be like, just tell me, just give it to me. I want to buy it. I'm ready to go. So if you've done your job, all you need to do is say, like, essentially a brief announcement in email, swipe up, Instagram story, social media post, whatever it is. Hey, super excited to announce my new program is live. If you'd like to join, you can do that at the link in my bio. You can do that here, whatever it is. Boom, that's it. Simple email. Done. That's the first day, social media post and email. The second day, it's up to you. If you're really going hard on email marketing, if you're really going hard on email marketing, you'll want to send an email every day. That's like I would say you would have to have an email list of, at the very least 200 people. That's the bare minimum. And even then, I hesitate to say that. What my gut and heart wants to say is an email list of at least 1,000 people. When you're sending an email every single day, you're going to get a lot of unsubscribes. Just a lot. You're going to get a lot of unsubscribes. It happens. When I did a recent launch sequence.
What you're saying is if you have an email list of less than 200, then don't send any launch emails.
No, you can send launch emails, but not every day.
Got it.
There's no reason to be sending one every single day if you have an email list of less than 200 people. Again, I think it's more optimal if you have a larger number of people on your email list to email every day. But the reason that we structured it like this is because most people don't have that number of people. And not to mention, even if you have 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 people on your email list, if you were going to only email or only do social media, I don't think either of those would be right. I think you should do a little bit of both. And rather than doing email list every day and then minimal on social media, I think that you should email list a little bit less, maybe like 4 to 5 days out of 7, to also make sure that you're posting well on social media, right? They both help each other. And a lot of times people will ask you questions on social media about the program you're launching via email, and it helps to answer those questions in addition to sending those emails. So day 1 is an announcement on both for social media and for email. Day 2, in here, we didn't put any email. You don't have to. If you want to, you're more than welcome to send another email. If you do go email here, I would make it education. Okay, I would make it education. But you don't have to. For here, social media, education. It's an educational style post. And what you're basically going to do is you're going to educate them, whether it's on deadlifting or whether it's on nutrition or whether it's on hydration or whether it's on a certain exercise technique or meal frequency, whatever it is, you educate them on something and use that education ideally with some form of a soft pitch included within it. It's a brief mention of the program. So let's say, for example, that your program, your educational post is about meal timing, okay? And you're saying it doesn't matter how many times you eat throughout the day, it doesn't matter when you eat throughout the day, as long as your calories and your protein are in check, then this is an educational post for people. Within here, you can then also say, this is why in my program XYZ, I make sure that you can choose whatever meal frequency works best for you. It's why I work closely with you one-on-one to make sure that you know what meal frequency is going to be best, and we work closely together on that. Link is in the description, and link is in my bio if you want to discuss. That's it. You don't have a hard pitch much more than that. It's a very brief, soft mention of your program, and then you continue on into whatever the next topic is. So it's not like a hard pitch saying, sign up now, I have this many people left, or I have this much time left. No, it's just you interweave that mention within the educational post. And you can do the same thing in social media and on email. Same exact thing for day 3, education, but the only difference on day 3 is I'd like a little bit of a harder pitch. Okay, so this is the launch sequence. This is where you're going to get people unfollowing you. You're going to get people unsubscribing. This is part of the process. There are some people who they just don't want to be pitched. They don't want to buy anything that you're going to have to say or have to sell, and that's okay. It's one of the hardest parts for me to get used to, especially early on. Whenever you pitch, you will get the most number of people unsubscribing. And you might even get people being like, I used to like it when you wouldn't pitch anything. I used to like it when you weren't selling stuff.
Jordan sold out.
It's like, listen, the reality is I don't want those people following me anyway. If there are going to be people who give me shit for selling my services after I spend my entire life giving them everything for free, then get out of here anyway, right? You'll have more than enough people more than happy to support you and encourage you when you do sell. Don't worry about the people who unsubscribe or unfollow you. So when I say educate plus a hard pitch, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, like I don't want to annoy people. As Gary would say, you don't want to be half pregnant with this. You're either going to just give free content or you're going to sell hard. And if you're going to sell hard, don't half-ass it, right? Mm-hmm. So on day 3, educate them, teach them something, and finish with a hard pitch. Teach them deadlift technique. Teach them about meal frequency. Teach them how much protein they need to have in a day. Teach them, and finish with, by the way, my new program is officially live. Link is in my bio. You have 72 hours left, whatever it is, whatever the time frame is. There's 4 people already signed up. I have 6 more spots left. Whatever your the truth is about it. Say it. Say, if you want to sign up with me, this is your chance. It's a reduced cost program. It's 50% off. It's 25% off. Whatever it is, whatever your offer is, it's here. Sign up. Link is in my bio, and you have that pitch on day 3. Anything you want to add to that?
Would this be a place where, like, an email that is the five best X or 5 ways to do Y, and number 5 is a pitch?
Yes. Yep. Exactly. So basically, 5 ways to master the deadlift. 1 through 4 are great actual techniques. Number 5 is invest in my new deadlift domination program. This is the single best program ever made to increase your deadlift as much as possible in 60 days or less, whatever it is. And then you explain that. So yeah, that would be a perfect way to educate and then hard pitch. Day 4. Day 4, especially via email, I like this day a lot. I've actually found this specific day via email to convert tremendously well. It's an FAQ. And by this point in the game, in the launch sequence, you should have gotten a fair number of questions about it, okay? And actually, a lot of questions that you might not have thought of before. How long does the program last? Who is it for? Can women do it? Can men do it? Can people who are 18 do it? Can people who are 60 do it? Can I do it if I have injuries? Who should not do it? All these questions turn it into an FAQ. And I'd say anywhere between 5 to 9 questions, 5 to 10 questions max in this email. Okay, so the whole email is frequently asked questions about this thing. Now, one of the most important aspects of the FAQ is being unbelievably truthful and outright honest, to the point where you might think, like, should I actually be saying this? It's like, well, number one, yes, because it's the truth. But people can tell when it sounds too good to be true. And if it sounds too good to be true, they're not going to buy it. So actually, one of the questions that I've always put into my FAQs is, who should not do this program? Who is this program not for? And very few people ever think to put that type of a question into their FAQ about a program, because oftentimes you're literally going to exclude a certain group of people from that product. But you have to be very honest about it. So number one, if you have a fat loss focused program, right? You have a fat loss focused program. This program is definitely not for people who are looking to get bigger. If you are looking to gain a lot of muscle size and bulk to your frame, this is not for you. This program, you could also say this program is also not for you if you are a competitive physique, if you are a physique competitor, if you are a bodybuilder, a physique competitor, if you are looking to step on stage, if you're looking to take this to the extreme, if you're looking to be incredibly rigid and strict with your diet, this is not for you. Because this program is for people who want to lose weight, feel better, move better, while incorporating their favorite foods in their diet, who want to look and feel and move better without letting their diet take over their entire life. So now you've been very open and honest. This is definitely not for people who are physique competitors. This is definitely not for people who want to gain size. This is for people who want X, Y, and Z. When you give that very truthful and blunt answer of who this program is not for, it sets you up to make it even more clear for who it is for. And that's really one of the best ways that I've found to get people really enticed and interested in what you're about to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's on the day 4 email. On the day 4 social media, this is when you can do some type of a testimonial and or story. So if you have a client who's worked with you before and they had amazing progress, number one, ask them if it's okay to share their pictures. But sharing their pictures and a story about them and what they utilized within their program in order to see the results that they saw can be tremendously beneficial. You can say, like, listen, like, we didn't use this exact program with this client, but we utilized a lot of the same principles, and this is one of the things that allowed them to get tremendous results. Obviously, aside from their tremendous hard work and dedication and persistence, the principles they used in this program is exactly what I'm going to be giving you into this program as well. And testimonials and stories work tremendously well for converting into new online coaching clients.
Yeah, and the same guidelines we always give apply here when it comes to progress pictures, which is make it about the client, make the client feel good about what you're posting about them. Don't just make it transactional. you want your client or whoever you're using as the testimonial to feel good about what you're posting. So keep that top of mind, like I know you will.
You'll want them to share the post, to be proud of it, to be able to share, like, look what my coach posted about me. So if you just go in there and use their picture solely as a sales strategy, not good. It doesn't look good for you. They don't feel happy about it. They feel used. Tell the story about how hard they worked. Tell the story about what they did to achieve those goals. So now, when we're going to day 5, you'll notice I didn't put an email there, but if you did want to do an email, I would do another testimonial or story. Okay, so just carry that over to day 5 if you wanted to do a day 5 email. Do another testimonial or story, or you could even do the same one just in case you have other people on your email list who are not on your social media. But some type of testimonial or story would be good for email on day 5. And then on day 5, social media, that's education. Again, education with a soft pitch. It does not have to be a hard pitch. Right now, I like a soft pitch with the testimonial story and soft pitch with the education, because you're about to go into day 6 and day 7 of very, very hard pitching. These are the last 2 days of your pitch. And these are also, by the way, where the vast majority of your sales are going to come in. These last 48 hours are where the overwhelming majority, often over 50% of your sales will come in. And the reason that I really stress this here is because you'll go through the whole week where you might not get very many. Like, you might not get that many. This is very common where the first 3 or 4 days, 5 days, you don't get that many sales, and it can be very demoralizing. Like, oh, well, what's the point? This happened to me probably for my first 3 launches, where I got very little response in the first few days. And my mentor, Pat Flynn, always said to me, he said, the magic is in the follow-up. The magic is in the follow-up. You got to keep following up, keep sending another email, keep sending another email, keep sending another email. If you look at how many exposures it takes a salesperson in person to finally get to make someone to make a sale, it's usually between 9 to 12 on average exposures in person. It's usually about the same via email too, right? Via email and social media. So let's say they're watching you via email and social media. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. If you do one of each every single day, it's about the same, right? So you want to make sure that the last 2 days, this is where you go hard. And oftentimes you'll start off with 48 hours left. That's your subject line in your email. Maybe that the first line in your Instagram post or your Facebook post, 48 hours left to get this program. And then you outline the benefits, and we'll go over that once this is over. But 48 hours left. Get in, or if you miss this, sorry, but that's it. 48 hours. 24 hours left. Less than 1 day left to join this program. If you don't join now, do not email me tomorrow and say, I wish I could get in, because I told you very clearly, 24 hours left. Then 12 hours left. Boom. You could either make the 12 hours left or the 3 hours left your last email, depending on your social media post, social media story, whatever. Going hard. Like, again, 12 hours left. If this is it, if you want to do this, if you want to lose fat, if you want to get more defined, if you want to develop a healthier relationship with food, if you're tired of using motivation as an excuse, if you want me to hold you accountable and take all the guesswork out of the equation, if you want to do this, now is your chance. Don't wait any longer. Boom. This is the last, and there's no, it's obvious why this is the best time for amount of sales, because you're going as hard as you possibly can. You'll also have the highest number of unsubscribes, but you'll get the highest number of sales too. All right, so that is the launch sequence. That's how it works. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well said.
That's it. It's a lot. And the first time you try this, you're probably going to screw it up radically. It's very difficult, and emotionally it's draining. Like, this takes a long time, a lot of effort, a lot of writing, a lot of thought, and to go through the whole process and make very little, if nothing, can be very demoralizing. Trust me, I've done it a number of times. But the more you do this, the more practice you get, the more comfortable you'll be with it, the more confident you'll be with it, and the more sales you'll make with it.
Yeah, and obviously the more of the sequence that you do, the better it's going to go. But like Jordan just said, it's going to go better month over month and quarter over quarter. And so if 3 times a year, if once every 4 months you're launching, you're going to get better and better at this. You're going to get better at building anticipation. Your email frequency may go up. You're going to get better at selling in general. So practice, like anything, as cliche as it is going to lead to growth and improvement over time.
And now what we're going to talk about We're going to take a mini break, but we're going to talk about some sales copy tactics you can use and some frequently asked questions.
We are back with copywriting tactics and a couple of FAQs.
So we're going to start off with the copywriting tactics, and really what these are just strategies you can use throughout your copywriting, whether you're writing an email or whether you're writing a social media post, or even if you're not using sales copy, but you're saying it in a podcast or speaking it into a YouTube video, it's the same type of strategies that you can use. The first one, and I think probably the most important one, is a guarantee. All right, and this is, we've all seen guarantees slapped onto something. You have a 30-day guarantee, 60-day guarantee, 90-day guarantee, lifetime guarantee, whatever it is. The reason that they're so common is because they work. They work very, very well. And the reality is, the vast majority of people who sign on to something because you guarantee it works will not then go back and say, well, I want my money back. All right, this is really, really important. This is one of the reasons why so many companies use guarantees, is because they know more people will buy it as a result of it being there, and very few will actually come back and say, well, no, that didn't work. The issue here is obviously with one-on-one coaching. The issue with one-on-one coaching versus a product is if you're going to guarantee their results, that's an issue, because you can't guarantee their results. And so actually, whenever I would do a guarantee on one-on-one coaching, I would never guarantee their results. I'd guarantee that they would get everything. Like, I guarantee that I will be there for you within, if you email me, I'll respond within 24 hours. I can guarantee that you will get every single training program you need by this time. I'll guarantee this, this, and this. And I would even put this as part of the sales copy. I would say, I will not guarantee your success, because a huge part of your success is your effort. And I cannot guarantee that you're going to put that effort in. But I guarantee that if you do put the effort in, you will get the results that you're looking for. And that is how I would guarantee it. And I would say, if I wanted like a 30-day, or if I wanted like a money back guarantee, I'd be like, money back guarantee that you get all your programs on time, that you get, or email response from me on this amount of time, that I'm here for you. But I would never money back guarantee based on results, especially with one-on-one coaching.
Yeah. Don't guarantee results. And the first point you made, which was, even though it really stings the first time someone asks for a refund on something or asks to take you up on a guarantee, because you know that whatever you're giving was amazing, what you gained in revenue or number of signups as a result of having that guarantee far outweighs the number of people who will take you up on the guarantee.
Exactly. So now going further into sales copy tactics or copywriting tactics, one of this specific one I really like, once you have someone on the phone, or if you're doing this via email. Let's say you're already interacting with someone, okay? You're already interacting with someone and they're asking you about their coaching. Maybe you're on the phone with them or you're interacting via email. I love this question early on in the discussion, because this will guide a huge portion of the discussion. And the question is, and I encourage you to take a note on this, to write this down, to use this: if we happen to be a good match for coaching, which again, this changes the frame of you choosing them. If we happen to be a good match for coaching, what would have to happen in the first 3 months for you to look back and say that was totally worth it? There are many reasons I like this question, but most of all, essentially, they, in their mind, paint a picture of a successful time working with you. That's what this question forces them to paint in their mind: a successful time period of working with you and what that would look like. They've literally just cultivated that picture in their head. And then they can express it to you in a way so that now you know exactly what that is. And you can either adjust their expectations to see, okay, well, is that realistic or not? And you can talk to them about what they would need to do in order to achieve that. But once they've clearly outlined, okay, this is what would have to happen in order for me to look back and say this is successful, you can then follow up and write this down. You can follow up with, so far, what has been the biggest obstacle keeping you from achieving that goal? This is a powerhouse of a question combination. What would be the ideal scenario in which you've succeeded, and what has kept you from succeeding thus far. The answer to these two questions will guide the rest of your discussion almost entirely. Anything you want to add on that? So, going from here, I want to talk about when we're looking at sales copy, or even just on the phone talking with people. This all of these works either on the phone, sales copy, whatever. It all works. But when you're interacting with someone, either in written sales copy or individually interacting with someone, one of the things that I've learned over the years is people want all of the guesswork taken out of the equation. They want you to tell them exactly what to do. They're not signing up with you so that they can figure it out on their own. They're signing up with you so that you can show them exactly what to do. Now, obviously, there will be parts on which they have to figure it out on their own. They have to figure out how to count calories. They have to figure out how to, what foods fill them up the most. They'll figure that out on their own with your help. But from a sales copy perspective, from an actual talking to them perspective, one of the most powerful lines that you can use to really help people is, during this process, I'm going to take out all of the guesswork. There will be no guessing, no ambiguity, no anxiety. I will tell you exactly what to do and when you need to do it. If you have any questions, that's what I'm here for. I can't put in the work for you, but I can take out all the guesswork for you. And when you preface your program with that, it's a huge relief for people to hear that they don't have to guess anymore. They don't have to weed through all of the misinformation. You're just going to tell them, hey, here's your program, you do this. And when you can take out that guesswork for them, they're very, very likely to sign on. Another thing here, another copywriting tactic. When you're going through your email, this is specifically for email or if you're doing it via podcast or video. When you're outlining the benefits, and earlier in this course we spoke about the facts and the benefits. When you're outlining the benefits of your program, bullet point them. Don't write these long paragraphs, these huge long paragraphs that are hard to decipher. Your emails should have a lot of white space in them. If you notice, if you look at my emails, sometimes a sentence is one word, and that's it. Then I'll go to the next paragraph. There's a lot of white space in the email. And when you bullet point your benefits of exactly, okay, this is what this program is going to do for you. This program is going to help you, ... burn fat, build muscle, get more defined, and be more confident. Get in and out of the gym in less than 60 minutes per session so you can get home and spend time with your family, friends, kids, and so on. Help you build strength, get a stronger deadlift so you can be the strongest you've ever been in your entire life without risking injury. Whatever it is. Now you list all of these benefits. Benefit, bullet point. And I like to bold the first 3 to 5 words in every line just so they can see what the main message is and then follow on from there. When you bullet point it, they're way more likely to read it versus just in these big long paragraphs. Let's see. So we spoke earlier about the most powerful word in sales being because, and we also spoke about how this is so you can marketing. Right, so we already spoke about that, so I won't go in detail here. But remember, when you say because, you are now about to explain why that is so important and why they're going to get the benefit from whatever it is that fact is. Okay. We also spoke about earlier, I spoke about my metabolic shock program was a case study that I used. Making a name for it and oftentimes using alliteration, for example, like metabolic shock, MM, is a really good way. So I also have deadlift domination was another one of my best-selling programs. Deadlift domination, having the D and the D as the first 2 letters. It doesn't really matter that much, but it is catchy and it can get people excited about it and is a good way to make a name. One of the biggest benefits of having a name for a program is it really forces you to stay on track. It forces you, like, this is my program, deadlift domination, cool. This is a deadlift specific program. Now, obviously, you don't want to launch a deadlift program to a bunch of ballerinas because they're probably not going to care about deadlifting very much. So you need to make sure, this is why the survey is so important that we spoke about in the launch sequence. Survey your audience so you know exactly what they're going to want. Maybe a group of ballerinas would really want a flexibility program with an emphasis on improving their foot strength, for example. So cool. So now you can make the badass ballerina program, right? You make a badass ballerina strength program, and then you go, and this program is going to increase your foot strength. It's going to improve your mobility and flexibility. It's going to improve your dance skills, whatever it is. So now you can have the badass ballerina program based on the survey that you got, All right, and I did not expect to be talking about a badass ballerina program in here, but that's the whole point of this, where you can do it with literally anything you want as long as you know exactly what the people who you're going to be selling to want. That's it. Those are the main copywriting tactics. Now, if you really go through my emails, my sales emails, you will see all of these in here. All of these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of these in here. The guarantee, if you have a good match, what would have to happen if you succeeded. I'll take all the guesswork out, bullet pointing it, because and so you can, and then also a case study. You'll see almost all of these in every single one of my sales emails, exception being the case study. That's only several times. But I think the case study right now would be very, very effective, especially if you're trying to do one-on-one coaching, right? Because now it's just, instead of just it being one-on-one coaching, you have a case study. You have a specific program that you want to test on people. You want to get some beta testers into your program to see how it works and see if they're willing to try. It also gives you a great reason to discount the program because it's not your full program yet, and you can give it a guarantee in terms of everything you will deliver, not the results, but what you'll deliver from the program in terms of your communication, accountability, so on and so forth.
Really well said. I think on the bullet point benefit that you listed, when you're listing your benefits and bullet points, you talked about white space. Think about aesthetically what the person reading an email or reading a blog post or reading your coaching page or any kind of sales copy online. Think about how the page feels aesthetically, because bullet points are one great way for it to flow and not hit this resistance mentally of a paragraph block that makes them want to click away. But there's other things like how wide are the margins, right? Like if you only have this much white space on both sides, that's a tougher read than if you have this much white space and a narrower bit of text here. Obviously you don't want to link out when you're on a sales page or when you're writing a sales email. You don't want to give them any excuse to do anything other than come down. I mean, unless the link out is to sign up, obviously. But yeah, those, like, in your copy and with the bullet points was a great example. Just think about how, not what exactly is being said, but how that looks and how it reads.
Yeah, super good points. So what we're going to do now is we got 2 questions, one from Vinny and one from Deb in the mentorship. Vinny asked, how does the sale go from an email perspective, both to the list and individually? So we've really already covered how it will go to the list, especially in the launch sequence. So all those questions should be answered. If you have any questions, Vinny, let us know in our next Q&A. Individually, this is really where my recommendation is get them on the phone. Get them on the phone, and number one, when you first start talking to them, have a real conversation with them. Get to know who they are. I hate the idea of small talk. And one of the reasons I hate small talk is because inherently in the name, no one likes small talk. Well, how's the weather today? No one likes that. And you can even say, get them on the phone. Listen, I hate small talk. What I want to do is I just want to get to know you better. Tell me about yourself, who you are, where you come from. One of the best questions that I've ever learned to ask people is, like, let's say they live in Canada, right? Like, okay, so they live in Canada. Did you always live in Canada, or did you always live in that city? And they're like, no. So, well, how'd you end up there? That's one of my favorite questions to ask people. Well, how'd you end up there? Because there's always a story. There's always, and even if they've always lived there their whole life, there's a story about why they stayed. So it's always a great story just to get people talking, to get them opening up to you. So from there, how'd you end up there? Then once you start talking about the program, you go to the question that we spoke about, which is, if we're a good match, what would have to happen in the first 3 months for you to look back and say, that was totally worth it? That is the first question that you ask when you're on the phone with someone or even emailing individually. And then from there, the follow-up is, what is the biggest obstacle that's kept you from achieving that so far? All right, when you do that, those are the first 2 questions. And then from there, the sequence will go in any number of ways. It's up to you to guide the discussion, and there's really no way to clearly define exactly how it's going to go. I would say, just for whatever it's worth, anytime I did a phone call, it would probably be anywhere between 45 to 60 minutes on the phone. And if I was on the phone with someone for 45 to 60 minutes, it was a 9.8 out of 10 chance that they're going to sign up coaching with me. Very, very few people ever got to a full hour-long conversation and didn't sign on coaching. So keeping in mind that the hour-long talk is not you talking. It's probably about 80% them talking, 20% you talking. Just getting to know them better listening to them, understanding them, helping them feel more comfortable with you, and then you can pitch. Deborah asked, if they aren't able to pay, how do you transition to a discount or free?
Great question.
So
it depends on what you want, right? So if you are just getting started and you really want unpaid coaching clients, you'll take anyone because you want to get better as a coach, you want to build your testimonials, you want to do all the things, build your coaching systems, the things that come from coaching more clients. Tell the person that, hey, like, tell them the truth. Tell them you're just getting started. Tell them that you want to be coaching more clients. Tell them that you'd be honored to coach them for free and help them meet their goals. If you don't necessarily want to be, like, say you already have a handful of coaching clients, you're coaching a handful of clients for free, and you're testing a new price point that is $250 or $300 a month, and the person says that price is an issue, but they do want to work with you, I would ask them if there's an amount of money that they're comfortable paying and they feel good about paying for X number of months to work with you, and let them know that you're open to negotiation.
What Mike and I wrote down here as the answer to this question, we wrote, tell the truth. And I think it's, if there's one message, like one overarching message that we can get across to everyone in the mentorship for however long this runs, is telling the truth is the best sales tactic you can ever use. Just be honest. And the reality is, I've used this many, many, many times throughout my career, but if someone isn't able to pay, or you just want to transition to free, you can just very sincerely and say, hey, listen, I love doing what I do. I'm really trying to build my business. I would love to continue to work with you, and I'd love to do it for free. I would rather work with you for free than not at all. And the reality is, I won't be able to do it forever, but I have a feeling that if you work with me for at least 1 month, by the end of that month, you're going to love it so much, and you're going to see results that you'll want to continue with me. And if you don't, if you decide not to, totally fine. But let me work with you for free for 1 month. Just give me that shot. I love doing it anyway. It's totally fine. And if at the end of the month you hate me, you don't want to work with me anymore, cool. But if at the end of the month you're like, hey, you know what? This is really important to me. I'm really enjoying it. Then we can talk about it then. And I think that's probably the best place to go with that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's it. That's the sales course. We hope you enjoyed it. Please let us know if you have any questions. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.